everyone, my name is Seb, and today we're going to be doing our operations and supply chain management formative, that being a process analysis. And my job is to give a quick introduction and an overview of that process that we'll be analyzing. The process is ordering at the library cafe, where the start point is that a customer enters the library cafe and gets to the till, and the end point is that their order is fulfilled and they are served the good that they pay for. Our operational focus will be end-to-end flow from entry to fulfillment, including the stages of ordering, payment, and preparation. The reasons as to why we've chosen to do this process are that it is both high visibility and volume, where high visibility being that all of the stages are visible by the consumer, meaning that it can have large impact on perceived effectiveness, and high volume in that there will be a lot of students at different points of the day entering the building to get good, whether it be a coffee or a piece of food. And so that leads on to the next part, which is that there are clear operational constraints, that being availability of goods, lecture timetables, and other things that will be addressed in the later slides, but notably availability of goods being that there isn't an infinite amount of food, nor is there an infinite amount of coffee. So at some point, some good will be out, and they will need to change the process itself in order to take that into account. It is also suitable for analyzing bottlenecks, such as capacity and, it will be suitable for analyzing bottlenecks, capacity, and the flow efficiency. You'll be able to see bottlenecks in terms of things like how many people are able to use the tills, or how many tills there are, capacity being like how many people are, is it possible to prepare a item for at the same time, and the efficiency of the flow itself. It's also well suited for applying flow charting, 4Vs, TQM, lean, and also providing some improvement recommendations, which we will get to in the slides to come.
So now we are going to talk about the processing map of doing an order at the library cafe. Everything starts as the customer enters the library cafe, which then is getting guided. The customer had want to approach the counter, which is then getting greeted from our business side. Therefore, the customer is, or the business side is receiving the order from the customer, where the first decision making is happening. As you can see in the flowchart, the type of order can be a drink only, which therefore is going to be available or not available. If the drink is not available, the customer can either leave or change the type of the order. If the drink is available, we as a business are going to ask if it's going to be a hot drink or a cold drink. If it's a hot or cold drink, doesn't matter. We are going to ask about the size, if it's going to be a small, medium, or large drink. After that, we are going either to receive the payment, or if the customer might be having cash, we cannot accept that, so the customer has to leave. If the person wants to change their order or only get some food, the food can be available or not available as well. If it's not available, the customer can either leave or change the type of the order again. If the food is available, it can be either hot or cold food. After that, the payment is received or the customer has to leave again. The last type of order can be both, so drink and food, which also can be available and not available, and hot or cold, and payment is getting received. After the payment is received, we as a business are sent the order then to the drinks maker or the food maker even, because the food has to be warmed up or the drinks has to be made with ice cubes or espresso machine or whatever. After the drinks or the food is prepared, the order is served and the process is done.
So the order qualifying criteria is the minimum base standard that a consumer would expect to even consider engaging in the process of ordering from somewhere like a library cafe. So the things important in this are conformance. They want the library cafe, they want it to conform to hygiene standards and to have a nice product appearance. They want it to be dependable. The product has to be standardized, and the processes have to be reliable and the same every time. So it's the design, and they need the speed is an important variable as well. They need acceptable waiting times. Consumers won't consider following a process if they know that process is going to take far too long compared to what they get out of it. As well as the appearances and tangibles. It's important that consumers have enough trust in tangibles like the appearance of the library cafe or its design, so that when they can trust these things and that they know that they're going to get the outcome they desire from following the process. The order winning criteria is basically what a consumer, why a consumer would pick to follow the process of ordering from one library cafe over another. So cost is a very important part of that process. Cost strategies such as product focus or mass service is a huge variable. The quality, consumers would pick one library cafe over another due to perhaps one having a high variety of products or a high volume of a certain product. Flexibility is important as well. Consumers would be much more likely to engage with a library cafe that offers table service if that's what they're interested in, compared to one that offers a more to-go model. The aesthetic is also important, as consumers would be much more likely to engage in the process of a library cafe if they had a high perceived quality of interior and exterior design compared to other library cafes.
So now moving on to the 4V's analysis, medium volume throughout the day, except during peak times of the day for class. When there's class gets out or there's breaks during class, it goes to a much higher volume because students like quick snacks or coffees to keep them going throughout the day. And then also moving on to variety, there's a moderate amount of variety to non-massive amount of selection between different types of coffee, but there is still several different combinations you can make with coffee or different preferences that will need to be specifically stated and made by the baristas. And then for variation in demand, there's a high variation in demand because specific times, breakfast hours, class changeovers, especially during exam season, it creates really unpredictable spikes in the amount of customer flow that they get at the counter. And then finally, for the 4Vs is visibility. There is very high customer visibility because students watch the ordering and drink making process, and this increases the pressure for speed, quality, and good service interactions. So yeah. And now moving on to the next slide, we have potential bottlenecks. So the first potential bottleneck or definite bottleneck is the queue before the counter. Large lecture groups arrive simultaneously in a limited space, and only one order taking point really causes a backlog and create a giant line. And then additionally, things that factor into that is, students don't know what what they want to order, whether it's food or drink, or what size the drink is, or what they want specific about their drink. So that can also add to that bottleneck. And then additionally, on the other side of that end, at the back end, there's the pickup area congestion because drinks come out slowly, but there's also so many students waiting in line for their drink that the handoff time can be slow, and sometimes students will hear their name. So that part of it at the end can be a little bit of a bottleneck. And then additionally, drink preparation, there's only usually 1 or 2 baristas handling all the hot and cold drinks, and the coffee machines have limited capacity, which really limits the throughput. So once they take all of the orders and they solve that bottleneck, there's another bottleneck on the drink making process where before students can actually get their finished product. And then which coincides with that is the food preparation is the same thing, except you only have like 1 to 2 microwave/toaster ovens, so you can't make that many things at once. And the heating appliances also take time to actually heat up the food, so that also adds into that bottleneck. So really, 1 at the front, the queue counter, 2 in the middle of the process, which is the drink and food preparation, and then 1 bottleneck at the end, which is the pickup area congestion.
Next, we'll be considering the application of total quality management and lean principles. Total quality management focuses on quality management every step, considering the break, the walk to the cafe, the queue, order, pay, wait, and receiving the coffee. Ways to optimize this process using TQM would be to train all the baristas on recipes regularly, promote an environment of feedback, have a standardized drink preparation process, and monitor trends in peak times. Ways to optimize the process using lean would be to apply regular preventative maintenance to avoid breakdowns, secure order, organize, and maintain a clean work area, identify and reduce waste, such as long waiting times, unnecessary movements, or having excess inventory. In order to refine this process best, we would recommend using lean. Lean is better because it analyzes process efficiencies and focuses on reducing waste, queuing times, and bottlenecks. TQM focuses on product quality, and lean prioritizes delivering value to the customer by reducing time wasted.
So on this slide, we're going to focus on a few low-cost improvements that directly address the bottlenecks we identified earlier in this presentation. The first improvement, we suggest introducing a fast lane for simple orders. From our bottleneck analysis, we saw that the queue before the counter becomes congested because of large groups that arrive at the same time, and every order, whether simple or complex, feeds into a single ordering point. By separating out quick drinks, such as Americanos or teas, we can reduce the average service time and the front of the queue without adding extra staff or equipment. For the second recommendation, we recommend pre-labeling cups, especially for the sizes. One of the issues we highlighted was the barista's capacity is limited and drink preparation can build up a backlog. Writing names and sizes takes time and doesn't add value from a lean perspective. By preparing stacks of pre-labeled cups, we remove these small delays which create a more standardized flow which supports both TQM and lean principles. The last recommendation, we propose adding a more visible menu board or simplified a top 5 orders board before the counter. A key constraint we identified was a slow decision-making process at the point of the ordering. Customers often reach the till without knowing exactly what they want, which extends to the queue. A better signage helps customers decide earlier, reducing the time spent at the counter and improving throughput during peak times. Overall, these changes are low cost, easy to implement, and directly target the causes of queuing and preparation delays that we identified earlier in the presentation. Thank you.
To summarize, Ordering at the CLC Cafe is a high visibility, high volume service shaped by lecture timetables. The 4 Vs show medium high volume, moderate variety, high demand variation, and high visibility, creating pressure for speed in drink preparation and pickup congestion, which will all cause efficiency to slow down during peak periods. Bottlenecks occur during queuing, drink preparation, and pickup congestion. Lean is the most efficient framework for addressing waste, waiting time, workstation layout, and bottlenecks. And we have recommended 3 low-cost improvements to improve flow and reduce queuing. We would implement a fast lane for simple and small orders, pre-label cups to reduce time wasted in picking the right size, and reorganize the pickup area in order to make it as efficient as possible, both in and out.